everyone, I am back from being back. I remember I said that in my last video. But you know, your girl has been traveling. And I know I told you guys that I wanted to do a video about the residency application process and my experience. So in this video, that's what we're going to talk about. We're finally getting down to the wire where if you are a third-year med student, it's about to be your turn to apply to residency. So let's get to the video. So before we go into the residency application process and my experience, I just want to give you guys like an update about my life, where I've been, what I've been doing, where am I now. Okay, if you are more interested in the topic of this video than my life, then skip on over to 213. So for about a month, I've been traveling to different places with some of my closest friends. I had an amazing time. I got to see some of the countries that I dreamt about seeing. Ate some great food, and honestly I had the time of my life, and it was something that I needed, especially after 3.5 years of medical school. It was worth every penny. Also, I finally moved to Dallas. So yeah, I moved to Dallas. However, it was easy for me because my sister actually lives in Dallas, and she had a 2-bedroom apartment, so I didn't have to really move any furniture. I just moved my body. But yeah, so that was pretty simple for me. Another big update, I'm graduating tomorrow. Okay, so I actually already graduated. Dr. O. So tomorrow, please, you may address me as Dr. Onyorioha. Yeah, I will be taking any gifts you want. Feel free to like Venmo me, Cash at me, I don't know, shoot me a shout out on Instagram, whatever you want to do. But I am graduating tomorrow. So first things first, before you start applying to residency programs, you have to first complete your final medical school board exam, and that is step 2. So after you take your boards, one of the first things that you need to start doing is you need to start completing your personal statement. I want to put emphasis on completing, because your personal statement should be ideally worked on throughout your 3rd year of medical school. Therefore, once you get to this point, all you should be doing is sending your personal statement to your mentors, your friends, people to read so that they can critique and give you advice on how to make your personal statement better and to stand out. Another thing you should be doing simultaneously as completing your personal statement is completing your CV. Ideally, you would want to start editing your CV the first day of medical school. So therefore, as you are being involved in different programs and organizations, you're putting that down on your CV. And therefore, once you get into your 4th year of medical school, you don't have to sit there for the first time and think about everything that you did your first years of medical school, because there will be things that you forget. So at this point, you should be completing your CV and sending that out to other people as well to give you advice about how you can make your CV look better and to make it stand out. So there are different templates of CVs that one can use. The template that I use, I've been using it since college. I kind of spiced it up a little bit to accommodate the things that I've done in medical school. But if you're interested in looking at my CV and wanting to see how I set my CV up, please leave a comment down in the comment box or send me an email so we can chit chat, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible with what you have requested. Tongue-tied. So yeah, those 2 things, get it done as quick as you can. So therefore, if you need more time to rewrite your personal statement, you will have that time. Me, I had to rewrite my personal statement 4 times. So, you know, I had the time to do that because I made sure I worked on my personal statement early on, just in case something like that happened. So at this point, ideally, you should know what you want to do. You know, if you are preparing for your residency applications, you should know what specialty you're interested in. However, I do want to stress that it is not too late to change your mind about a specialty until the day you send in that application. So what I did prior to actually applying to residencies is I looked up the different residencies and I made a list of all the residency programs that I thought I would want to apply to. And the resource that I used was Doximity. I think it's a resource that's free to every medical student. You just have to sign up and create a password or an account. It was really helpful because it allowed me to rank programs based on different things that were more important to me. So for the graduating class of 2020, I think for your residency application calendar, I think the first or the second week of June is when the application actually opens, and you are allowed to start inputting different things onto your application. At this point, it should be a copy and paste from your CV to your actual application, because what you will notice is that the application is pretty much a CV. So therefore, if you already have your CV edited, perfected, once it's time to start the residency application process, it will just be a copy and paste, and you'll just be moving through it really quick to the point where you will think to yourself, this was too easy. You must be missing something. If you feel like that, then you're doing something right. And so I think during this time, I spent like for an entire month, every single day, I was going on to my application and, changing things here and there and sending my application off to all of my friends and my sisters just to make sure that everything looked good. So after the application is open and you're able to jot down a couple of things on there, the application is actually available for other programs to see, or pretty much available for you to send it in as a final copy. I think September the 15th. So in between June to September, you have that much time to perfect your application. So when you do send in your application September the 15th, your application may not be completed. You will probably have a couple of things missing, such as your Step 2 scores, maybe your dean's letter, and some letters of recommendation. However, most students have the same problem, which is not really a problem. It's just that most programs know that things take time. So if your application isn't complete, it's not a problem. You will still get interviews, but just make sure that you're on top of your physicians and the people who are writing your letters of recommendations. Make sure that they are on top of it, and that they do send in your letters of recommendations in a timely manner. So just like applying to medical school, they tell you to send in your application the day it opens for you to send it in. It's the same thing for residency applications. You want your application to be sent in that day. And I think I heard from somewhere that programs look to see what day you sent it in to kind of gauge how serious you were about, your application. So you just never know what programs are thinking or how they may try to decipher between different candidates. So just to be on the safe side, send your application in the day that it opens for you to send it in. So depending on your specialty, you can hear back from programs either that same week you send in your application to months after you send in your application. It just depends on what specialty you're in. So I think for me, it was imperative for me to ask those the upperclassmen who already went through the process, asking them when did they hear from programs and when should I expect to hear from programs. And that honestly gave me comfort because I did have classmates who got interviews weeks before I did, but they were in a different specialty, so I wasn't too worried about it. Another important thing to think about during the residency application process is that you want to make sure that during your 4th year of medical school that you are taking classes during the period of time that you want to do most of your traveling. So for me, during my 3rd year of medical school, I was talking to a lot of 4th years about what timeline their interviews were scheduled on. They said that for internal medicine, it was mainly between October through January, with most of the interviews falling in November, December. So I told myself that I knew for a fact that during November and December, I wanted to make sure I took a class that had lenient absence policy. I knew I wanted to take classes that had lenient absence policies because technically you're still a student. And regardless of what residency program likes you or accepts you, if you don't graduate from medical school, then you can't be a doctor. So just make sure you are fulfilling all of the requirements in medical school before you kind of like think to yourself that you're done, because you're not done. They can hold you back for anything. For the class of 2020, ranking opens around, if I'm correct, January the 15th. So that's the time period where you can start ranking these programs. It doesn't have to be finalized during this time period. You can still change it back and forth. Just make sure during this period that you have all of your documents on your application, because this is a time period that programs are also ranking you, and you don't want to give them any reason to overlook your application. So although everything does not technically have to be there at that time, you know, you can still wait for everything to be on your application or completed on your application. But I think it would be better for you to have everything there during the time that programs are ranking all of the students. So one thing that you should keep in mind is that you have to manually, one by one, send every program your board scores. So sometimes step 2 CS takes a while to come in. Make sure once the scores come in, you go back on your application and you send that score to every single program prior to ranking open. Prior to the opening of ranking. That sounds better. So to wrap things up, I just want to talk about some final notes about the residency application process. So for one, be prepared to spend that cash money. Like, applications aren't cheap. I applied to about 22 schools and paid about $300. I've heard students who paid about, up to about $2,000. So depending on how many programs that you apply to and whether or not you dual apply, like maybe you want to do internal medicine as well as anesthesia, take into consideration that's going to be a lot more money. So yeah, just be prepared to spend. Another important note, reach out to those students who have already gone through this process. They will give you all the keys to succeed. Why? Because they just went through it, and they can tell you exactly what you need to know. They can tell you how to prepare, and they can relieve some stress that you may be feeling right now. So yeah, if there is something that you feel that I didn't explain well, or you want me to talk more in depth about it, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment box. Let's discuss something or some of the things that you want to know more about. Or if not, send me an email and we can chit chat there, and I'll definitely get back to you as soon as possible. Again, if any one of you would like a copy of my CV, please feel free to shoot me an email or leave a comment on the comment box. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope that you guys have an amazing weekend, because I will, because I'm graduating. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for always being there. Thank you for like holding it down during times where I'm just like, peace out, I don't have time to do this. But I'm going to do my very best to make sure that I make time during residency to vlog and let you guys know how it's going. But alright, peace and love to you, and you, and you, and you, and especially you.